Started. Yes, it says it started, so I'll start the recording now. So hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly catch-up. This is show number 19. And we're back.
Yes. Number 19.
Number 19. Yes, it's got... you see, I've got to really clever now with the titles. I'm putting that in the titles, then I don't forget.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
I thought so in
very
our
much.
new lower third there, so we don't get mixed up with what the date is.
Yeah, and you've even the way looking on the screen here, you've got Jeff and Jeffrey on the proper size of the screen and everything. I like that.
Well, that's what I did. I just noticed, so I should have had the screen split slightly different, because if I should have had the graphic right in the middle with the screen exactly split between Jeff and Jeffrey.
You are a perfectionist. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think all the thousands of people watching won't give two hoots whether it's got that or not. Anyway.
Well, the first couple thousand might, but after that, I think we're home free.
That's right. So what have you been up to this week? Anything exciting?
Well, believe it or not, I actually did today. I went on ACX, the Audiobook Creation Exchange, and got some audition scripts and looked at them while I was at work on my break and lunch and stuff. And then tonight I actually recorded a couple and submitted them to do my audition for a couple of audiobooks to be able to do the narration on those. One of the things I find is that in order to be on ACX, the book has to already have been published on Amazon. Some editing, they kind of range from editing would be in order to like unreadable.
Oh.
I mean, some of them, it's impossible to read them out loud. And you don't realize, and one of the things I have noticed is the threshold. Where I work full time and everything, I've been trying to find books that are, shorter. And so if it's below 1 hour, they have a tendency to be really, really badly written. And once you get close to the 1 hour mark and past the 1 hour mark, finished audio, then at that point, they seem to be better written. Like that's an actual threshold of people who don't have good grammatical skills don't want to write a book over 10,000 words.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I'd been doing a bit of recording a while back, and I was getting to the stage thinking it was me, because some of the things I thought, I just can't read this. And I thought it was just me, the lack of skill or something. And then I got another one, which was a really interesting book, and I got a few chapters of that, and I read that really well, but it was really well written. And I think it makes a huge difference to the quality of the work that you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was running into errors. Like I take my little, tablet with me to work, and then pull it out on break and lunch, and I'm kind of reading over the scripts, and these are just really short parts so that they can just hear how you read before they make you an offer, whether or not they're going to make you an offer for a particular book. Man, some of that stuff, I mean, it's not just grammatical errors. It is actually words in the wrong order. Instead of saying going to the store, it'll say to store, going, and later eat.
Oh.
I'm just sitting there like, and to me, I kind of read it out loud to myself to get a feel for how it goes. And I'm reasonably good at reading something cold and being able to, put some good inflection in it, I've been told, and make it interesting. Some of them you just stop right in the middle of, and it's like, what? Because it just doesn't make any sense when you're reading it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just the grammar Nazi, but if I'm going to read it out loud, the words at least need to flow well enough to where it's a proper sentence. You know what I mean?
Well, some of the things I'd been reading on LibriVox one of the things that they do, they're all the content that they put out there for you to record, and like it's all a voluntary thing, so it's all public domain. But being public domain, all the copyright is from over 100 years ago. So you're reading books from the turn of the century, well, 1900s, and previously, so the 1890s that you could be reading, and people spoke a lot differently back then. And
they spoke differently, but at least it was.
Well, that's right. But then even some of the words, even on that, they had all the correct words, but I thought, I don't understand what they're saying. And it's just that the way that they said it at the time. But when you're doing an audio recording, well, you can't just do what you think it is. It's got to be what the script says. And so what do they do with AVX? What is it, AVX? What? Not AVX.
Yeah, ACX.
What do they...
well, you actually have communication. You can do, through their system, you have direct communication between you and the person who wrote the book. I had to contact the author several times because there were things where his books, the last one I did, his book said, click here for more information.
Yeah, there's no click here.
Yeah, well, some people, I guess, would just read right on through that. I said, well, no, on this page, it says click here. What should we do? Should we say go to, yourwebsite.com to do this? Or but that would be best. I'm suggesting that. And he'll say, well, okay, that sounds good. And then there were some things that actually performed a light editing service for the other guy, too. There were just a few things that were, forgot to put an S on a word, or, something was missing. The tenses were wrong, or something. And so, I did some light editing, and I gave him a full copy of it when it was over with. So he said he was going to update his print book with my script. Oh, after I got done with it. So I guess that was kind of a free extra thing for him. But some of these things could really, just trying to read across them without doing some heavy digging, just trying to read them is a chore sometimes. And so the two that I did, one of them is really super short, and it's actually a children's book, believe it or not. And then the other one was actually about 12,000 words. And it's a instruction manual, more or less, kind of like an e-learning module, I guess, for a particular product that was out.
Well, that's the sort of thing I like a bit better. When you said about 12,000 words, it made me shudder, because when it's a book, something over 6,000, but I suppose that's more than one chapter, though, isn't it? I'm sure it will have to be. The book I did before was 40,000 words. So that was a bit daunting for my first book, and that was very scary, because at the same time I was learning all of the way to do the audio and the way, because they have specific standards on the bit rates and all this stuff, and I was trying to get all that done at the same time. This time, again, it's been 3 or 4 months since I did that last book, but I just sat down and started doing the auditions, just read the things in the booth behind me here, and then sat down and made the audio to their standard and gave it, and uploaded it. So, it was, I did that from memory from the last time. So I am not scared this time like I was the last time. It was like, but like you said, the one with the learning module, I find them much, much easier, because you know how to speak straight away to them. But with a book, you just don't know. You've got to read it again and say, well, how should I sound in that sentence? Whereas when you're communicating something on a learning module, well, you know exactly how you should be doing it, communicating it. You don't have to say, well, how is that character going to sound? You're talking just a one-on-one situation. You're not reading 3 or 4 people's different lines and that. I know you don't have to put funny voices on, but you at least have to change your pitch or do something when there's different people coming into it to indicate that somebody else is speaking.
Well, that's one of the things that I wasn't totally sure about with the children's book. It's actually a question and answer book based on the alphabet. And it's one that he wrote for his own child. It's actually really well done and was published in a regular paper format. And then I think it is a Kindle book now. But it was like the child, is saying, hey, what about this? And then the father says, well, it's like this. Well, what about this? And this goes A, B, C, D, all that stuff. Like cats, dogs, different things. And so it's just a question and answer thing. But there was no indication that they wanted a child saying half of it and the father saying the other half. It was just like the father saying the question and then reading the question reading the answer was what I got out of it. That's the way I did my audition. If they send back and say, why didn't you do a baby voice? Well, you didn't say so. So anyway, I submitted it. The worst thing they can do is just either ignore it or just say, nope, you don't qualify. Okay.
I can think of a worse thing is them coming back to you say, can you put a manly voice on instead of that baby voice you're using?
Yeah,
that would be worse. That is my norm. That is my normal voice.
I didn't mean to do it like that.
But that's the thing is, though, it's not so much doing the voice. Yes, you can do that, but you've got to remember exactly how you did it when you've got to recall that voice. That's where the voice actors get their work from, because, yes, anybody can put on a silly voice, but can you remember each one of them, like these people who do the ones for The Simpsons? Like it's it's 2 or 3 actors all doing the voices, and they've got to know at a moment to switch between this one and that one. Now they've been doing it for years. Yes, it becomes second nature, but in the beginning, how do you put on a funny voice and say, "Oh, I've got to keep that"? Very hard to do that. So.
Yeah, staying in character whenever you're not it isn't your daily job of doing this particular voice. Staying in character for the length of time that you have to do to read, through a book or even through a very short children's book, to keep that voice the same all the way through is very, very hard to do until you do get that full-time job and you're trained. And people, I have a tendency to think, slip into voices for long-term work that they probably have a lot of practice at anyway. They're not inventing a brand new one usually. It's something that they can do, have done, and then that voice is chosen for this particular character, and then they can do it with impunity without any trouble.
I find also as well with projects, you've got to be very careful about keeping the speed nice and even, because
yes,
when you get into the end, you tend to speed up because you want to get it over and done with, and you know you're getting to the end, but you've just got to be as relaxed as you were at the beginning. But you can sort of hear it. I do when I'm playing back and thought, oh, I've sped up a little bit here. It's not quite as slow as it should have been. So.
Another one about this book here too, it's almost like a list, like you are reading a list. It's a children's book. It's like, why is this? Because of this. Why is this? Because of this. So the amount of time that you have between each thing needs to be pretty consistent. Question asked, question answered, and it should be a consistent amount of space between each question and answer, and there you go. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. You have to do that too. The actual space between the lines has to be paid attention to. It's not just a natural flow, it's a list.
Well, I'm going to have to get back into and do some more modules and that, but I've just pulled my makeshift studio to pieces to put everything up here for doing this. So, but I've still got the thing downstairs and microphone set up. I'll just have to use the laptop for recording in there. But I may even go down there again if I can figure out how to get a network cable from upstairs downstairs, because I don't want to do the Wi-Fi, because I think it's a bit too much of a strain when you're recording, broadcasting as well at the same time. So we'll see how we go there.
I made a bit of a configuration difference where I am using my Zoom H5 recorder that I can plug the XLR mic into and stuff. It's sitting here on the desk, and it was always in the booth because my condenser would plug straight into it and had phantom power. Well, I don't want to move the recorder back and forth every time I do something, because I was doing that tonight and now it's back over here. Well, I didn't use this one in the booth. I have a lower grade recorder that you can't plug XLR mics into. However, I have that little tiny mixer that I showed you, the little 4-channel job that I showed you. And I've never really used the mixer before, but I put it in there, did the phantom power, plugged the condenser into that. Again, it's just a little thing. It's only about this big. And then ran the output into the little tiny cigarette pack size recorder that I have, and it'll do the same quality of recording. And did my gain staging to try to make sure I wasn't getting noise because I added extra things in the loop. And it came out very, very clean. I mean, I played with it some. It came out very clean. I was really impressed with the sound I'm getting out of that. Now that's full time in there. The one I can use here to do the Skype recording is sitting here and doesn't have to move all the time. So I'm good. I guess I'm lazy not wanting to move back and forth just between here and there. And you're talking about upstairs and downstairs.
Well, I'm doing exactly the same. It's because I don't like moving the computer from upstairs, downstairs and doing that. I'd rather have it all set up in one so I don't have to keep moving it. But downstairs, that's better for sound. But that's what I want for the audio recording. And I'll better go back into the Audio Vox. No, LibriVox, that's what it is, not Audio Vox. And get a book that I enjoy reading, because I did the last one, but I sort of gave it back because it was, like you said, I didn't enjoy reading it. And I thought, well, I'd read it, most of it, but I hadn't finished editing it, and I thought, I really didn't like that. So there is one of the little short stories that I do like. I might record one of them, so I'll let you listen to that one when I've done it, if I do it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it. Sounds good. No, like you say, you're talking about the length of the different books. I mean, there's 90,000, 100,000 word books that people are doing on there, and I'm guessing they don't work outside, of doing that, because that's all the time you would have. And again, I don't know. They gave me 6 weeks to do the 40,000 word book. I don't know how much time their standard is for a 10 or 12,000 word book. I don't know. They count about 1 hour of finished audio for every 10,000 words is what they count up. And I found out my book was just within minutes of what they predicted it would be. So I thought,
that just because I know just doing the little ones, it's really, people say, 6 weeks, that's not bad. Well, that's still pushing it if you're doing that as a full-time job, I think, doing that.
At the same time, though, one of the things I'm finding out, I recorded the whole thing and then went back and started editing the whole thing. I really do believe that was a big mistake. I think I'm going to do it since I was trying to get consistency in my voice. Excuse me. I was trying to get consistency in my voice, on the narration. And I still didn't get consistency on my voice in the narration as much as I would like. And I know people listen to audiobooks and they're used to differences from chapter to chapter. This time, and again, whether I get one of these books, I don't know, but I'm still going to be looking. But when I do another book that has chapters, I'm going to do and completely finish a chapter at a time.
That's right. That's what they say you need to do, because that's fine, but a different chapter each day, but you can try for the same time of day. But if you do one at a time, people won't mind, because you break off, and then by the time there's a gap, you introduce in the other one. There might be slight differences, but people won't notice. But if you do it in the middle, you'll definitely notice.
I find that one of the things I do when I first go in the booth, the first podcast that I did, I had this intro that I did, and I said it so many times that I can just pop it off when I get in there. And the tone of voice that I want to have for, like you say, a learning module or something like that is exactly that particular tone of voice. So I go in there, and the first thing I do is say that intro to that original show. And then that puts me in the mode, and then I go.
It's amazing. Have you ever done this? And you go and just have the microphone, listen to it, read it out loud, your chapter, and do all that first. And then how well you do it, then you just press the record button and you just mess it up. Totally. I've done that so many times, and I thought I should have just hit record and do a record and practice. Record it 3 times. Don't worry. But for some reason, we all have to, let's read it out. Yeah, blah. Rather just record it. We can always record over it.
Well, I read it at work on my tablet. If I'm going to be recording when I get home from work, and I put it on my tablet, and I take it and I read it, and I'm kind of over mumbling to myself and reading this out loud. And then whenever I get home, I just turn the recorder on.
Mm.
And then I do at least 2 recordings, sometimes 3. If I'm not happy, I'll do 3. I'll just on that same one line, I hit record and I just read it because it's all editable, so you just read it. The second one's usually the best. Third one, you're starting to get a little tired. But I had one tonight that, I'd had 4 different ones that I actually recorded in the booth. 2 of them were, I got those finished and got them online and uploaded. But there was one that I decided not to submit.
Oh, okay.
Once I got into it. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And then there was another one that I did 2 takes on it. And it wasn't quite as well written as the other ones, but I made mistakes on both of the takes.
Oh.
And so I'm like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to record that one again. So, because I'm not even comfortable moving, because my inflections on the same recording, like a second take on the same actual recording, my inflections will be different and my volume will be different and everything like that. So I can't pull one sentence out of one and put it in the other, really.
No.
And have it to really sound correctly. And sound correct. So, I'm picky that way.
I've found, though, as well, as if I've recorded it and go into the editing, and if I haven't got 3 or 4 minutes worth of recordings and I've been editing for an hour, re-recorded, it's that bad. Because if you said no, you just got to get to a point where you've got to have a certain amount correct, because if you do it, to me, it's cheating, even though it might not be. I don't mind editing out just the lip smacks and just all the different things where you might hear when you take a deep breath, because you don't mind when you do that, or take all them out. But I do when you're just putting words, cutting words from here, putting it there, and I've got that wrong and I'll have to insert that. That's you just got to say, well, and that's what I do it for. You get better at it as you do it. The first one I know I did was woeful, and then the more you do it, the better you do get, because you get lazy. You don't want to have to edit it, so you take much more care in the words you're saying. But it's quite amazing how you can see a paragraph and read it, and when you listen to it back, it's totally not what's written there, and you say, okay, I've got to do that again, and you read it again. I've did that same damn mistake again. And your brain it's locked in your brain, because we don't, in the normal world, we don't really read properly, do we? We see the word before and after and make up the things in between. I'm sure that's what our brain does. We don't read the word for word, and we say, oh, that's what they're going to say. Well, no, he didn't mean that. And it fits in with the story, but I've just put words into the author's mouth.
The book that I wasn't able to go ahead and do the upload the thing for, finish the editing and upload it, it was written by a PhD nuclear physicist guy, and he wrote a book for I believe a sight impaired child in his family, and it's about radiation. And it's actually really well done, and it's like a PDF format. That's what he sent, and so. But there was something about the wording, the way it went, that I was trying to say the word uranium, and I said it fine throughout the entire script, except it took me 3 times saying this sentence, and I was catching myself while I was recording, and I kept saying uranium.
Uranium.
Yeah, uranium. And I said it 3 or 4 times, not because I can't say uranium, but because of the words grouped around it. And the letters that are grouped around it put my mouth in a position to say uranium instead. And so I did that 3 times while I was doing it. Then finally, I was able to do it correctly. But then on each of the 2 takes, there were other things that I did not catch and correct as I recorded. And so, I didn't have time to do that. But I'm going to let these 2 slide for a couple of days. I'll probably I can't get myself set up to where I've got 5 12,000 word books out there, that I get them all. I can't do that. So during the same period of time. So what I'm going to do is, keep a couple out there at a time. I'm working on one. I've got another audition out there, and then, maybe something shorter. Yeah. And I'm going to have to manage it, but I'm just now learning the ropes on the actual managing of it. But if I take shorter things, don't keep too many. out there, then I should be fine.
I think I'd enjoy doing. I enjoy doing it, but the only thing I don't enjoy is trying to find the right time to do it. If I had a nice studio where no matter what time of the day is, you could go in there, no matter how warm it was or cold it was just nice and comfortable in there. It would be perfect. I'd love to sit in there for hours doing that, but it's just like we were saying the other week, you've got to wait. There's cars going past, but like where you are, there's wildlife making noises or something going on on that.
Turn around as a bear like that. So I guess. Yeah, I don't have so much external noise in my booth back here. That's what's so cool about it, where it's in the center of the house on the second floor. You can occasionally, there's a mountain over here, and occasionally trucks are not supposed to be on this road, but a big old semi truck will be, what they call jake brake, using the engine to slow the thing down, and they'll go rip roaring down the road. But I generally probably can't even hear that in there because I don't ever remember hearing one. I just have to make sure inside the house that the air conditioner's turned off during the period of time I'm actually recording. And then I have to make sure that one of the TVs aren't going loudly. So my wife, when I needed to record tonight, she just plugged some headphones and just sat and watched television with the headphones on. And she's extremely cooperative, and I totally love her and appreciate her because she said, "Oh, you're going to record? Okay." So I mean, it's just, she totally supports me on that. So that's nice. But I don't really have a whole lot of external noises going on that can penetrate that space. If I'm here in the room here, then I can actually hear things coming through the windows, the trucks and things like that occasionally, but you can't hear. That's why I use a dynamic microphone out here. And then I use a condenser, that NT1A, I use that in the booth itself because it can handle, and there's really nothing coming through that isn't very, very easily removed. The actual room noise is close to minus 60 dB. The actual noise inside the noise inside the booth itself. I've tested it a few times, and it comes up to minus 60, I believe, right in the area.
What annoys me,
which is good.
What annoys me greatly is those when you hear all that noise that you don't want, and you stop and re-record, it takes you out of a nice flow. But then when you listen back, you can't hear anything. You just say, "Oh, darn plane again." No, and there's silence, and you can hear that sometimes it's a bit of a downside to monitor what you're saying. And sometimes I've found when I've got in the booth, the right where I'm in the right area, I'm reading, I don't monitor myself. I take the headphones off because sometimes I'm too bothered about listening to the way I sound. And you don't get back to it, but sometimes that can help. If you know the sound's going to come out right, you're standing in exactly the right position. And plus, sometimes when you're stuck in the booth, it can get a bit warm in there. So with these clunky headphones on, it can be a bit awkward. But I find if you just give the headphones away sometimes, it's going to come out the sound, and then you don't hear all those little bits and pieces. And they don't usually come out on the recording anyway.
Well, no, I'm very fortunate where I live and where this booth, the way it's situated, that I don't have the external noises bothering me at all. Now, I will monitor with the headphones. One time I did. Remember I told you how the furnace, when I turned off the air conditioner, how it was clicking. And I'm trying to figure out that recording because you couldn't even hear it in the air. It was just translating through the wall into the mic stand, through the pop filter, and through the shock filter and into the recording. And I'm like, what is that? And it ruined it, but then I had to go back and do it again. But that's really about the only time I've ever had that, because I'm not getting interrupted. If it was raining outside, I would not be able to do it because you can't, like a hard rain on the roof, because I am up here on the second floor. I guess that would cause me trouble. But I'm not so committed that if I miss an hour of recording in the middle of the day because of the rain, then I'm going to be fired or something. So but that's what I keep a light enough schedule to where that's not really a problem.
But that's what I like having with my little studio downstairs. It's got the air conditioner. It's not terribly noisy. especially if you leave it on and when it get cool, it goes down fairly slowly. And like you said, if you
Hmm.
put your dynamic microphone on it, you don't hear it at all. But even when I put the condenser, as long as it's a constant hum and it's not a big noise, I can put up with that. And sometimes, like here, when we've got, well, the other summer, we had a whole week where it didn't. Every day was over 113 degrees. I thought, I don't care how noisy it's at. I'm not doing this. If it comes out on, I don't care. I'm not sitting in a room doing that when it's 113 without the air conditioner going. So
All right, I don't blame you there. Now in the booth here, there's no air coming into the booth, but I generally do it at night, so the sun's not beating down on the house either, so it's not as hot during the night. So 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning or something like that is when I'm actually doing it. But again, it's I was in there tonight for probably 20-25 minutes total. Oh, and I did four separate recordings, maybe 2 or 3 takes each. And so, and then I open up the door, and if I'm doing something longer, different chapters, then I will open up the door and let it cool down in there for a while before I go back in.
hey, change your subjects. You didn't happen to have a Samsung Note 7 phone, did you?
No, why? They have a blowout?
Slightly. So they've had a,
What happened?
well, there's about, I think about 39 of them that sort of had problems catching fire and that. So they've recalled they're going to swap over every single one that's been sold, and I think they've sold over 1 million so far. So
Of course, you see Apple over there going,
yeah, but the thing is that I feel sorry for Samsung because it's a good product, even though I like the Apple as well. But it did have to come at that crucial time where they're releasing theirs tomorrow. I think Apple's releasing theirs, so it's certainly going to
okay, so all of a sudden everybody's-
it certainly will hurt Samsung. But they've done the right thing. Like you say, there's 39 units out of I think 2 million sent out. Is that a lot? But it's being cautious these days. They're doing the right thing anyway. So, and you never hear, like you said, you never hear all the other companies crowing, says, "Oh, that's right, buy theirs, it'll do that," because they all know it could be them next week. So they're all very, very quiet.
Oh yeah, just gotta keep their heads down. They're laughing under their little cloaks, But as far as the you don't, because again, car manufacturers are the same way. All these things, you never know, that where it will be you next time, and so you're just going to have to be nice, be quiet, and don't say anything that later you may have to eat.
But the thing is, I don't know about you, but the thing that doesn't bother me, some people will say, "Oh, I'll never buy that because they had a recall on that or it was faulty." I said, "No, that will make me buy it because I know they'll try their darndest to make sure that it doesn't happen again." They said the people who haven't had a problem, they're going away blind. That's fine. They're not. They're more likely to have a problem than these other companies. Like I've bought a Mitsubishi and they've had a big worldwide recall on their certain models. I thought, well, that's probably about the best time. I know my model's not going to because they've just had their recall, so more than likely it'll be fine. But if they do, hey, it's safety concerns. They're not doing it just for the sake of it. There is a safety concern, and as long as we're safe, that's the main thing. And I just think 20, 30 years ago, nobody recalled anything. So just let them just do the wrong thing and people got hurt. But nowadays, they err on the safe side, which is good.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the companies that do make the recalls are the ones that you want to deal with because you know that they will do what's necessary to keep you safe.
And
No, I agree.
And things like a Samsung, the phone part, that's just they do sell heaps, but that's a small part of the Samsung family. They do just everything, don't they?
Yeah, we have Samsung things all over the place in our house. Even goodness, our televisions, even our washer and dryer are Samsung. I mean, we've not had a single problem out of Samsung anything. I mean, we love their products all the way around. Like you say, we have them all over the place around the house.
It's amazing the quality that's coming out these. I used to work in the electronics arena years ago, and one of the brands we used to have, it was Gold Star, which was sort of the low end, cheapy
Right.
brand. I don't know if you ever had Gold Star there.
Yeah, they actually did some computer monitors,
Yes.
things like that.
Yep. And
Uh-huh.
nobody liked, but there was sort of always a cheap end, and then they
Hmm.
changed their name to LG, and now look at
Is that
them.
the same
Yeah,
company?
the same company. They used to,
Yeah, there is. I didn't know that.
because they used to, even at that time, they used to have LG monitors. That was, but I mean, look at the turnaround in that. And to me, I was looking the other day, and I've got an LG TV, and I thought, shit, I would have never, years ago, this would be the brand I would never look at. But they changed the name and redid their image and concentrated a bit more on quality. But I thought they do a damn good product these days, same as Samsung. But as I said, the LG, I would, it just amazes me at how people can turn around their businesses, and that's where companies like Sony, I think they sometimes don't see these competitors coming with products half the price, and but people are still buying them. Like I see a Sony telly $5,000 or $6,000, or even an LG. But TVs these days, like 30 years ago, you'd pay 2,000 because you know you was going to keep that TV for 20 years. It would do you for 20 years. But now, when you buy a TV set, one of these big screens for $2,000, you know in your heart, within 5 years, there's going to be something much, much better that you're going to dump that one and get a new one. So hey, 1,500, 2,000, you're not going to spend $5,000 or $6,000 on them anymore.
Well, I'm kind of my idea about technology. For instance, my phone is actually 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's still working for some reason. It's still working, but there are televisions. Technology. The way I look at technology is, I use something until I run into something that it can't do for me, or it breaks down. I mean, if it's still doing what I want it to do, just because it's not the best, I don't have any problem for that. I mean, our televisions, when we bought them, we have it's the same televisions. They're like 46-inch Samsung. I think they're the trying to think one of them was a smart television.
The plasmas.
Well, no, they're not actually plasma. They're LCD.
Oh, the next one
Yeah, and so they had plasma, then they had LCD, and then now they've got something else.
LED.
But the LED. And so the LCD, we love the way those televisions look. They are sharp, they are pretty, and like I say, they're 46 inches, but that's the biggest thing we ever had. And so, and when we first got them, we were like, because it was so big, and now we've learned how far you need to be away from them, but they're great, and we just love them, and I, until they get to where they won't do what we want to do. Plus, half the movies we watch in old series. They're older television shows, and older. Sometimes they're even black and white. I mean, so we watch a variety of things. So having to have the latest and greatest doesn't really matter to us. We do have, I think I own maybe 3 Blu-rays. No, wait a minute. We got a few. Whenever we bought those Bond movies, we had a 10 that we forgot and actually messed up and got Blu-rays on some of them. I didn't realize how good the resolution is on a Blu-ray, because I can play them on my PS3. On that screen, they are amazing. But we never use the screen up to the potential it's got unless we do put one of those particular Blu-rays into it. We just stream everything on Netflix and things like that.
But that's the problem I think retail is having at the moment, is we've got to that point where everybody's got a smart TV, and they've got to entice people in. Like, tried with 3D, which sort of failed. Nobody liked it. Like, even when you're talking plasmas, the picture quality was probably better on plasmas than LEDs, I think. It's still better quality. Now they've got the latest one to try and get well, they tried the curved screen, didn't they? I
was wondering about that one. You couldn't see it at angles the way you really need to. I thought that was weird.
But it's now the next one is OLED, isn't it? OLED.
Oh, I'd never heard of that.
No,
one.
haven't you? No, well, that's the next one. So just look in the store, and it's the one that if you'll see one that's The LED about $1,500 to $2,000. OLED for the same size about $3,000 to $4,000. So that's how you can tell. But the thing is with the OLED, the things that they've lacked since the cathode ray tube is having a proper black. Everything's been,
Oh,
whereas the OLED, the black is pitch black. It's really black, and it really
that's
looks
nice.
fantastic. But that's what we've not had since the old TVs. But if you have a look at that, I think that when they come down in price, that will get people going. But then the only thing is, when they come down in price, it's because there's something else even newer on the horizon, isn't it?
Well, I specifically wait until it's the one below whatever the higher one is. We bought the LCDs after the LEDs came out on purpose. And of course they wanted to get rid of them. The prices dropped dramatically. And then, we got them and we've been thrilled ever since. And like you say, we bought one and then for our main TV, and then we wanted my wife was going to be having some surgery and was going to be confined to the bedroom for 2 or 3 weeks. And so I didn't want her to miss anything we were doing downstairs. So I went and bought her another one just like the one in the living room. And so we have 2 of them. And they're great. We love them. And like you say, I don't really care so much about what they come out with. We just love those televisions, and they're great.
And that's what
No reason to change.
and that's a lot of the things where people say, you hear people asking people advice, oh, shall I get this one? Should I upgrade? And should I do that? And a lot of the true reviews of the people say, well, but like exactly as you said, do what you've got, is that doing the job you want to do? Yeah, it's fine. Well, you don't. If it won't do something you need to get done, and same thing with photography. People say, should I upgrade? It says, well, I'm working doing this. Are you doing your job yet? Well, no, you don't. But can you can't take a particular shot because of that? Well, maybe it's time to upgrade, but not just upgrading because it's a newer model. And like some of the things they've got on it, you've got these greater things, but do you ever use them? And a lot of the time the answer's no. So
No.
why would you need to upgrade? But that's what drives products, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and they convince you that you need it. They have to sell you on the idea not of the product, but that you have to have it. You cannot do without it because there's something you can't do now that you will be able to do, and life will be great and sweet, and you'll be rich and handsome and everything if you buy this. That's what the sales job's all about.
That's right. But I mean, it's a bit like I've been waiting for my Mac here. I've had this one nearly, the later one, I've had this about 4 years now, 5 years. I'd love to update it, but the technology hasn't really changed much still. They said, what can you put in there? And that's why they're not releasing a lot of different things. There's not a lot to put out there. There's faster GPUs and that, but it's got the fastest one. What I don't need anything faster, and they haven't done anything radical to the size of it. So what's the point? That's what the thing is, and I think it's got that with everything, even with phones and that. They keep churning new ones out, but like you said, really, when you come and look at it, it's maybe the size, but they're still doing a lot of the same things, really, aren't they?
Yes, I think we're kind of slowing down right now on how much better they can make the same products that we're using. So they're trying to come up with some new products, but there's really not that much improvement. They try to come up with another feature or two. I'm at a place right now to where everything that I want and need to do, recording wise, microphone wise, computer wise, I have everything I need right now, which is, that's going to be so sad whenever the sellers hear this. But I honestly have everything I need. I have enough of these microphones. I've got like 3 of these. Got my condenser. I have 2 different recorders that I'm using in 2 different places. I have that little tablet that I take to work, check out my scripts, come back, take it in there. It's my teleprompter for the actual reading while I'm doing it. I don't really need anything else right now. So I have no plans to buy anything right away at all. I'm good.
Well, I think I'm exactly the same, and I've sort of made this commitment to myself at the beginning of the year. I'm trying to make 2016 a purchase-free year. I'm not going to buy any decent things. As I said, I've got enough cameras, and when I think about it, oh yes, I'd like to have this one or that one, but will it take any better pictures? No, but maybe I should just invest in a course on learning to take better pictures rather than buying a better camera, or things like that, or get stuck into, because you get all these things and you get something else, but there's plenty of things you can hone your skills and make it look better by just using what you do have. Because it just amazes me when you find all these things that you just got tons and tons, like for instance Microsoft Word and Excel. I mean, going trying to look a bit more, and then some of these courses that they have, just looking at some of the basic courses again, and there's just little tidbits you get from there that really make a big difference to the way you use a product. So I'm trying that with a lot of my cameras this year, trying to improve, making sure I use all the features on them. And same thing with the keyboard. I find there's so many different things you can use on the Yamaha keyboard. I just found a feature last night that I can do with a foot switch, which I can set a sequence in for. There's 8 memory things in the sequence, and I can set it into a sequence I want. So if I'm playing, I can have it set up in a different one. So it will go, use memory 1, 7, 5, 3, 2, 5, 6, and you can set it up in any sequence you want. So when you're doing a performance, you don't have to look. You're pressing the buttons. You can set up a sequence in there, and I didn't know it did that. So.
Well, see, there used to have to be separate sequencers that you had in a separate box with you, to where you had to. I've seen people get those boxes on stage, and they have a foot pedal, and they're playing a guitar or doing something, and then they do a certain thing, and they record that, and then they hit the box, and it starts again, and then they add something to it, and pretty soon they've got 4 guitars playing all at the same time. But I didn't know that they actually had that built into a keyboard. That's pretty fancy.
And it's got tons of things, and I know there's even more that I could do, but it's just, I like getting into things like that, because when people you talk to and you can't explain to them how something works, and sometimes you think, gee, that's silly, why can't they figure that out? Well, this with my keyboard, I understand. You understand, because there's things I can read the words that are in the manual. I understand what they're saying, but I don't understand the meaning of it, because some of them are written so badly that what on earth are they talking about? I know that, but it's just written so badly. And some of the ones you can't find, and it's one of the few things I can't find any YouTube on how to do it. They show you the basic things that everybody knows, but when it gets a bit complicated, there's nobody out there showing you how to do it. Well, maybe I should do some videos on that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. You're the man. You discovered this on your own. Now it's time to make and do the first video, and we'll push that on here, and we'll get you going.
That's right.
You're talking about people that have a hard time understanding technology. I think a lot of the time it is simply because at the beginning they are so sure they won't understand it. That they don't really let the stops out and actually commit themselves, because they're afraid they're going to look stupid if they try to understand it. So they don't really try, and they just kind of hedge on that. I ran across an expression the other day that I had never heard before, and someone called someone a blinking 12.
A blinking 12?
Yes, and it's an old expression that comes from when you go in somebody's house back in, say, the 80s, and you looked at their VCR and it was blinking 12.
Oh, is that? Oh, that now I know exactly what they mean.
They didn't know how to set it. It's like, you know nothing about technology. You are a blinking 12.
Well, what I used to, as I said, worked in the industry when video recorders first came out, and I could always, you'd sell people one of the top of the range Panasonic video recorders, and they'd take it away, and you'd see them in about 6 months' time, bring it back, saying the damn thing doesn't work, and they were blinking 12 people. And what it was usually, you had a timer to record TV shows,
and you had to set up
Well, they had to set it up, and there was about 6 or 12 settings on there, and sometimes people say, I'll set it up to come on at 7 o'clock and fix at 8. No, it didn't work. Now I'll set another one. And what they used to do is set up all the timers, and by the time they've just got one to work, all the other ones were filled up. and then the damn thing wouldn't work, or because it was waiting for you. Well, you've got to clear something out for it to do it. And then they'd unplug it, bring it into me, and I'd plug it in, and it would work. Because all it needed was to unplug, and it would reset it. And what I used to really love was the people coming in with the video recorder. This video recorder doesn't work. Cassette keeps throwing itself out. I used to love them ones because that's right. Does anybody else go near the video except you? I said, no, just me, nothing else. And he says, oh, well, are you in the habit of putting toast in the machine? Because you're always very funny when you got those ones. And he says, or you'd find coins in the video recorder because it would stop it from going down properly, so it would pop up every time. And that was a classic thing on there. And it was just, there was always these, there were sort of the blinking 12s, like he said, that didn't know how to just switch on, put a tape in, press play.
Well, yeah, and then there was some. I read an article one about a repair guy, and he was talking about some of the things that people had said whenever they came in, and it was a repair on a computer, and what they were complaining about was that the cup holder broke off.
Oh, I've heard this one. Yes, it was the CD player, wasn't it?
Push the button, and the CD tray comes out, and they were using it for a cup holder.
Oh dear.
Oh, it's sad. That is so sad.
But then again, because what's a CD player on a computer? Most of them don't have them anymore.
Well, I actually do have one on this one now. Now that this computer's about 4 years old, but it's
something's popped up. There's something, an antivirus thing that popped up on the screen. Can I get
right over my face?
Does that go away? Let's see if I can get rid of that. So I don't want to say okay.
No, if you say okay, it'll give you a restart.
Yeah, that's right. I just don't want to do that.
Sad.
There we go.
No, we're pretty close on time anyway. But still, you don't want to get kicked out before you're supposed to.
No, that's right.
No, it's. I mean, we can laugh at people, but one of the things that I found out is that if there's something that I don't know about, and someone else does, I don't care if they are younger than me, older than me, my brother, my wife, anybody, if a 12-year-old kid, if they know it and I don't, I am totally ready to listen to what they have to say.
Me too.
I mean, some people, I can't listen to a 12-year-old. Why not? They know it and you don't. Every person you meet knows something you don't.
But I wish these.
I would just learn.
I just wish these companies would write their instructions like, those books, the idiot books. It said The Idiot's Guide to, or PCs for Dummies. And the way that they write them, they just write, they don't tell you how to, they just work you through a task. So this is how you do a sequence of music. So and they'll show you. Whereas in most of the manufacturers' books, it'll say, go to the sequence button. Refer to page 76 on how to go there to do this. Then you have now refer to section 47 to do that. Don't take you through a whole, so you're not too sure of how to do it. Whereas if they just said, I don't care, just follow me, and that's how I learn. You just show me what to do, and I'll adapt it to what I want to do. Don't tell me every single thing in that. I just want to know how to do this, and I think that's where it lacks there. And it takes me back when I was thinking when you said about doing a video on the music sequencer. I wanted to do some other videos on other things and thought, well, everybody's done that to bits. But when I was looking at like Adobe Audition, there was somebody says, oh no, I have to go out to this program because it doesn't break the files up. I said, well, Audition does. And I had a look on the internet and nobody was saying anything about it. So like Adobe Audition, if you record a 20-minute worth of audio, but then out of that you want to break it up into 50 different little individual recordings, well, you just put markers on it in that and say, export out to separate files, and so it creates 50 little files for you. So, but
that's cool.
But as I said, it's a little feature, but it's not one of those important ones that people don't seem to worry about. They're all on about how to sync the video with the audio and sync somebody else's on. They're all on these high features that everybody loves, but all the standard ones you tend to miss, but they're the really cool ones that everybody needs on a day-to-day basis.
No, I agree. These digital recorders that I have, there is a button you can push to make a marker on a recording, and it's basically to mark. You just put markers to where you made a mistake. And then if you load it into the software, I don't think Audacity does it, but if you load it into I do Audition Works and several other the regular DAWs and things like that, the markers show up where you said, you had to make a quick fix or something. And so you just push the button when you're recording, something happens, you go, and then whenever you look at it on your screen, the markers where you need to make repairs are all right there because you did it as you went.
And that's much better than flicking the microphone.
Yeah, and then having to see how listen to the thing.
To do that much better on than that. So I was just saying, what did we talk about on Tech Down Over this week? After all our conversations, I was just thinking maybe we should call it Over Tech instead of Tech Down Over or Over Tech, because we seem to be anti-tech this week, don't we? We seem to be over it this week, but. I said I'm going to be cold turkey this year with buying products, but I'm just seeing if there's going to be anything that's going to tempt me. It's like giving up cigarettes. There's always some excuse in the back of my mind why I need to buy something. So, but luckily I gave the cigarettes up over 20 years now, so there's no chance of going back to them. So.
I do have a birthday coming up, so
Oh, that's always a good excuse to buy. I've got to treat myself to something. So.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's right.
There we go. Yeah, looks like we're right at our hour.
Jesse, yes, we nearly are again. Right on to the things. So I've got our last screen, our ending screen. I've got a new shot for the ending part of the show. So. This is
to watch next week.
The weekly catch-up number 19 here. Don't forget to watch next week. And you remind people where they can find your podcast as well.
Okay. HolbrookNewMedia.com. Everything we do is there.
Yep. And so thank you for watching or listening or whatever you do when you're listening to the podcast. I know we do ramble on a bit, but hey, I enjoy talking to Jeff for an hour each week, so we thought let's make a show out of it, and I hope other people get the enjoyment out of it too, as we do.
I think they will, because like you say, it comes down to we're talking about things, because everybody always wondered who that guy was reading the audiobook.
Well, that's right. And I heard somebody saying on one of the podcasts about the male union agreement. Who was reading that? No.
No, I don't think I made that much of a splash. It ended up on about 3 or 4 websites around the country, different APW websites. It may have went to some other ones, but it was just kind of like, oh wow, thank you very much. But anyway, it's prominently displayed on our local site. So
yeah. Well, very well done anyway. Okay.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, bye for now, and catch you next week.
Yeah.